This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. Welcome to another episode of Mountaineer Moment, where things have gone from bad to worse for the Mountaineers in just a 48-hour period. Mountaineers obviously suffering the Week 2 loss on the road at Ohio, and then Monday getting the news that star running back Jahiem White is officially done for the season with the knee injury. Just terrible for obviously a guy that's been here, had an incredible freshman year, a really solid second season as a sophomore, and was really looking to break out in year number 3 with Rich Rod and his new offensive system coming to the table. And you hate to see that, especially in today's modern era of college football, where guys go to 4 different schools in 4 years. And here's a guy who's been loyal to a program. There's a team with 81 new players, and he's not one of them. He stuck around with the coaching change and all of these changes that happened in the offseason, and he promised you he would have had many other places to go, and he chose to stick it out in Morgantown. And you just hate to see a season-ending injury to anybody. Obviously, thoughts with Jahiem White suffering the injury in Week 2 against Ohio on a not so form tackle from the Ohio defensive player who got flagged for a face mask and a horse collar, and it was like a hip drop tackle as well. So not the cleanest of plays. Saw some even tweets or something today that were saying that even after that, while Jahiem's sitting there laying on the ground, he was like clapping, and not sure how true that is, or if that was purely directed to Jahiem. You hope not. But just very, very unfortunate news for Jahiem and for this Mountaineer football program. I mean, there's pretty much zero doubt in my mind, and maybe your mind as a Mountaineer fan, that Jahiem White is the best offensive player on this team by a significant margin, right? I mean, we have Cam Vaughn at receiver, who's definitely earning some fans with his play over the last couple weeks. But, man, Jahiem White is so good and so gifted and so talented, and you just hate to see it. Disappointing, again, from bad to worse for the Mountaineers, again, as they had a tough loss, looked ugly, and then you lose your best player. So, just not good. Again, this is Mountaineer Moment, a brand new podcast covering West Virginia football and basketball. We also have a newsletter that you can subscribe to, Mountaineer Moment, just to keep you in the know on all things West Virginia football. And I'm recording on Monday night as the Jahiem White news just now breaks earlier in the day, and obviously it wasn't looking good. Saturday when he gets carted off the field, and then post game it's like, well, it doesn't look good, but don't want to speculate or any of that. And obviously the news now comes that isn't a surprise, but is so disappointing, just so disappointing. And this is a running back room, right? If we again, thoughts and prayers and everything with Jahiem, but if we look at this from football now and think about, okay, football perspective, like, this is a running back room that needs somebody to step up. This is a running back room that was 100,000%. It was Jahiem White and everybody else significantly lower on the depth chart, if you can say it that way. I mean, Jahiem White's the feature guy. Let's just put it like that. And now he's gone. And now you have a bunch of guys who are going to need to step up if the Mountaineers want to find success this season. Clay Ash was one of the guys who predominantly filled in for Jahiem, didn't do much, but the Mountaineer offense didn't do anything either. So Sincere Bowers had a touchdown in the Week 1 game against Robert Morris. I think he only had 1 carry in Week 2. And then you got Ty Edwards, the Northern Iowa transfer, who was part of that thing with Jamori Robinson, who, by the way, is now eligible and apparently might be playing in the backyard brawl coming up on Saturday. So that's some good news for the Mountaineers, who are getting hit in the chin in a lot of different ways right now. But Ty Edwards, part of that situation for eligibility, he's played. He's been on the field a couple snaps, but he hasn't gotten a carry. Look for him to get some action against Pitt. And then Dior Hubbard, the freshman, who hasn't had a carry yet, but he has been on the field as well. So this running back situation, it was already a running back room that was struggling to find, again, depth. And again, I just rattled off 4 names, but it's just not proven depth because they haven't done it at this level, right? Even a Ty Edwards who rushed for 1,000 yards at Northern Iowa, we don't know what he's going to do in the Big 12 or what he's capable of. And obviously we hope he can do a lot. But without Jahiem, I mean, this is as big of a blow as you can have for a team. And, you're already coming off of a game you were wanting to win, should have won, expecting to win. I don't care how good Ohio is or that the defending MAC champions, or they have a really good quarterback and a good running back and this and that, and they return, this is West Virginia football, and this is a MAC team that we should beat, and we didn't, and there were opportunities to do so. I don't want to focus anymore on Ohio. I'm starting to. I'm getting angry, because we just dropped, a couple episodes breaking down that action, but, it was already a bad situation coming out of Saturday afternoon. And it gets worse with the Jahiem White news. On top of that, Jaden Bray also exited the field on the cart, and he's out for the season as well. Talented wide receiver who was here last year and struggled with injury, and so that's obviously not good either. A guy that was looking to contribute this year, a guy that was, on the field a good bit, through the course of the first 2 games, and not a good sign for the Mountaineers. I mean, Jaden Bray had 7 catches, 95 yards through the first 2 games. Was a starter. So you lose your star running back, who's a just unbelievable talent. You lose a starting wide receiver in a wide receiver room that we've been told has a lot of depth. And, I've talked about it on this very podcast that this is a deep wide receiver room. This is a deep wide receiver room. This is a deep wide receiver room. Well, it's time to show it now because, this is not good. Without Jaden Bray, Cam Vaughn has obviously shown what he can do, but, he can't do everything. And now he's going to have even more eyeballs on him because you take out 2 other starters who are contributing to the offense. So who's going to step up at running back? Who's going to step up at receiver? Or is anybody? That's what we've come to, at this point is man, you want to talk about backs against the wall. You want to talk about, one of our episodes this week, is it time to panic? Well, maybe. This is, you couldn't envision heading into the backyard brawl, right? It's Monday, September 8th. The brawl's on the 13th, week 3 matchup with Pitt at home, and it'd be hard for me to come up with a worse circumstance than what the Mountaineers find themselves in right now. You lose at Ohio, you lose a starting wide receiver, you lose your best player on offense in Jahiem White, and you're heading into Pitt week, and there's way more questions than answers. And a lot of the answers we do have, we don't particularly like. So not good. Not good at all. Jahiem White done for the season. Again, what does that mean for the Mountaineers and the running back situation? Well, someone's got to step up. And we've even talked about it with Jahiem, a healthy Jahiem. Who's getting the carries behind him? Well, now who's getting the carries without him, and is it going to be running back by committee? Are we going to see all 4 of those guys on Saturday get some action? And I wouldn't be surprised if we did, because given what we've seen, and given what we know about Rich and his desire to get a lot of guys on the field, I don't know that one of those guys has a leg up on the other heading into week 3. So let it rip. Let them all get in some action and get a handful of carries and see what they can do behind an offensive line that struggled mightily in week 2. Question marks there. Question marks at quarterback. This is not good. And now you lose your best player on top of that. In case I didn't mention it, Jahiem White. Mountaineers star running back done for the season, and it's only September 8th. Feel terrible for Jahiem. Feel terrible for, just for him. Like, this is, again, hate to see that to anybody. Hate to see it to, a Mountaineer that we've grown to know and love, over the last few years for what he brings to the field. Good, solid, hardworking young man, and now he's sidelined for the season. So, anyway, this is Mountaineer Moment. Few more content to come this week as we head toward game day in the Backyard Brawl. So be on the lookout for more episodes dropping with keys to victory, some things to watch for, and an official game preview. Maybe even some over-unders coming your way for this matchup with Pitt. So be sure to check that out and subscribe to the Mountaineer Moment so you can stay connected with us, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and again, the Mountaineer Moment newsletter as well. If you want to subscribe to that, that would be phenomenal. We'll see you next time on Mountaineer Moment. Let's go Mountaineers.